My Steelers, good Lord. My Steelers,
Here we
my,
go. Lock in. Get your seatbelts. Lock them in.
Dude, the Chiefs go undefeated in 2024.
Ashton Genty is making history. Welcome back to Morning Wood. My name is Jason. This is Matt. We are dumb, but we are back here to talk some football. Crazy weekend of football. Of course, that's every weekend when football is going on. But let's get right into top of the morning news. Big news this morning, like an hour before we started recording. Jets fire head coach Robert Saleh. They started 2-3. They decided to part ways with Saleh. The defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich will be the interim head coach for the Jets. He was 20-36. Robert Saleh was 20-36 as the Jets head coach. Kind of crazy news, firing your head coach through 5 weeks of football.
I actually don't agree with the fire at all. Like, the guy had 6 starting quarterbacks in 2 years for the Jets. Like, I don't really think that was, I don't think he needed to be fired. Like, that really wasn't even that bad of a record for 6 different starting quarterbacks.
Yeah, I don't think the public knows, everything. I don't know why.
Right.
They haven't come out with a statement or anything yet. So I guess we'll see why they, if they have any reasoning, I guess they don't have to put that out. But
Aaron Rodgers said this guy sucks. We get him at.
I'm the coach now. We're going to have this Jeff Ulbrich guy as, the head guy, but I'm the coach.
It's LeBron.
But moving into some injuries, Rashee Rice, his season is over after testing, but the news was positive for his long-term outlook. So I'm assuming he will be good to go next season, but still a big loss for the Chiefs. Nico Collins left the game at halftime, I believe, after that long 60-yard touchdown pass with a hamstring injury. He's week to week now. D'Amico Ryan said it takes a couple weeks for a hamstring. He said that in a press conference. So I'm assuming Nico Collins will be out for at least a week or two, according to D'Amico Ryans. And then Will Levis injured his AC joint last week. They were on a bye this week, but it sounds like there's no issues and he'll be good to go, which is good news if you like him, bad news if you don't like Will Levis. However you're feeling about that, he is going to play this week.
Titan fans might be crying.
Yeah, who knows how you're feeling about that? I mean, he's going to play. Those are the big name injuries after week 5, And then an interesting stat I saw this weekend. We were talking about rookie quarterbacks earlier in the year. All 3 starting rookie QBs have a winning record through 5 weeks, which is the first time that has happened since 1950.
Dang. That's a while ago.
That is a long time ago.
That's really.
We were talking about how rookie quarterbacks might need to start. They need to sit for a year. But quarterbacks looking good. Bo Nix has kind of turned the tide for the Broncos, and Caleb Williams has looked good as well. And then we all know what Jaden Daniels is doing over there in Washington. So
yeah,
rookie quarterbacks looking solid.
Through 2 weeks, they didn't have a touchdown pass, and now they're lighting it up.
Now they're winning.
I like it. That's top of the morning news. Let me talk about the best segment on the internet. The Antonio Brown. I always say
kicks him in. Antonio Brown.
Go on social media, man. This is about us. Nobody else, man.
Tweet of the day. I'm gonna go with the I'm sick. It's a t-shirt print. I'm sick of hearing about Taylor Swift while I'm trying to watch football. I've never ordered a t-shirt so fast in my life. That is the best t-shirt I've ever seen. Also, in this tweet is the link to his shop. Y'all need to go check that out because he has some of the funniest t-shirts I've ever seen in my life. But I'm sick of seeing Taylor Swift. Of course, every time Travis Kelce has a big game too, they're just going to show her in the booth. And I saw a clip of the Manning cast and Bill Belichick.
I was about to mention that. He's over it too. Bill Belichick's over it.
If Bill Belichick's over it, then everybody should be over it. But great t-shirt. Go check out his merch. That stuff is golden. Tweet of the day.
Well, we have some NFL recapping to do. Big weekend in the NFL. Why don't you start it off with our last Thursday night game?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about. So ever since I said Kirk Chain sucks,
He's
he
been
hasn't
making
sucked.
that up.
He hasn't sucked at all. But Thursday night was
That
bananas.
game felt like it was so long ago. I like kind of forgot about this game.
This game was awesome because it
It
was the
was.
first game I watched that was a shootout. I feel like just offensive frenzies. But like I said, Kirk James goes for 500 plus yards, 4 touchdowns. Baker and the Bucks, they battle back. He has 3 touchdowns himself, 8 touchdowns in the game alone from the quarterbacks. Love seeing that. Both offense. I mean, it was literally like the defenses. You couldn't stop either one of these teams. I was happy to see the Falcons utilize like Kyle Pitts, for example, for a little bit in that game. I was really happy about that. Not sure why they have the running back they have and drafted him first overall or in the first round if they're not going to use him at all. I don't know why that is. Sometimes they use the guys that they have, sometimes they don't. But I will say the Bucks offense did look good in that game. Unfortunate that they couldn't, finish it in overtime, which I kind of want to talk about here because like we talked about, like I think our first episode or one of our first episodes, we did talk about the overtime rules. But the Falcons win the coin toss, they get the ball. Same thing as the Detroit Lions game. They march down, they score. Bucks don't get the chance to even sniff the game anymore, and that's it. I'm sick of seeing that overall in the NFL. Like the Bucks deserve a shot. I know their defense, you could say, sure, they can win the game there, but clearly in that game, no defenses were winning that. So for them to not get a chance to get the ball back I'm so overseeing it. Like I'd much rather just watch the NFL adapt college or something similar to where both offenses or both teams get a chance, both offensively and defensively, to win a game. Like it shouldn't just be one or the other. I don't know how you feel about that after watching that game, but
Yeah, I mean, for the regular season, I'm kind of up in the air. I just want to go to college rules and just call it a day. I'm tired of this. The coin toss shouldn't. I mean, the coin toss should matter who gets the ball first, and that's it. But yeah.
I mean, one thing I do want to say though, like I was saying earlier, Falcons. Why? What was the point of drafting Bijan Robinson in the first round? I don't understand. First, originally it was Kyle Pitts. They were complaining about that. He's not getting the ball. Why are we drafting a tight end that high if we're not going to use him? Why are you guys drafting the 1 week I put money on this idiot? He don't do nothing. But what is the point of drafting? Kirk throws for 509 yards and Bijan catches 16 of them. Are we kidding me?
Yeah,
he's like one of the best two-way backs in the league.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know either, but the Vikings. That's who you're going to talk about. But the freaking Falcons win. Kirk Cousins is better than every other quarterback I've ever seen. So
yeah, so let's move on to the London game on Sunday. First London game of the year. The Vikings continue to dominate on defense. They are 5-0. No one, I don't think, saw that one coming with Sam Darnold at the helm, but their defense is kind of the highlight. They epitomize a bend but don't break defense. They give up yards, but they continue to create turnovers in the biggest spots of the game. Aaron Rodgers had a chance to win that game late, despite being down 17-0 early, but he ends up throwing his third interception of the game, which seals the deal for the Vikings in London. Sam Darnold in the offense didn't really have that great of a game. Aaron Jones gets hurt in, I believe, the first quarter.
Like early, yeah.
Yeah,
that was early.
And then their offense kind of looks stagnant for the rest of the game. The Jets fight back, and then Aaron Rodgers has a chance to win the game at the end and throws that pick. So, I mean, the Jets just fired their head coach this morning. The Vikings are 5-0. I don't know what's happening, but yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, I know he threw 3 interceptions, but I did see that he had 2 drop touchdowns that could have altered the outcome of that game.
Yeah, the entire Jets, it's not all on Aaron Rodgers. Like the entire Jets,
they look awful.
Not playing well.
Like offensively, it looks like they don't even want to throw the ball down the field. Like they have great receivers, and they're just not even like trying to push the ball down the field. I know it's the Vikings, but just in general this season, like when I've watched them, it just doesn't look like they're trying to attack downfield 15 plus yards at all. But
yeah, I agree.
Anyway, Vikings look great as always. I'm going to continue to pick them every week until they lose. But moving on, I'm going to be quick about this one. I didn't really watch it, but I do want to talk about Caleb Williams. They go in and beat the Panthers. They whooped the Panthers, scored 34. But I will say Caleb Williams in the last 2 weeks has looked very good. The Bears are now 2-0 in those 2 weeks. He's playing really well. I know Jaden Daniels is getting talked about a lot, but I do want to, highlight Williams here in the last 2 games. He has, or actually against Carolina, he went 20 of 29 for 304 and 2 touchdowns. And he had a touchdown called back, actually. That should have been, a third touchdown. I think in the last 2 weeks, he has 4 or 5 total touchdowns, no turnovers. He's playing really well. I just wanted to highlight that for the Bears. They don't get really talked about him enough. Their offensive line has been improving week to week, which is a good thing. And defensively, they're one of the sleepers in the team in the NFL, I think, as far as defense is concerned. They're not like a top 3, but they're up there. Like every week they show out. So
and DeAndre Swift looked really good against. I mean, it's the Panthers, but he was getting after it.
Yeah, everybody says that it's just the Panthers, but like it's still an NFL team. Yeah. Like you got to go out and perform. Yeah. So just wanted to,
Yeah, the Commanders. Let's move on. The Commanders are now 4-1 for the first time since 2008 when Clinton Portis was on the team.
Yeah, that's crazy.
When they were the Redskins. Jaden Daniels continues to make plays with his arms and his legs. Didn't have the best game as far as completion percentage in the past 3 weeks. He barely threw any incompletions. Missed some, but the Browns just continue to take a big Bran all over the entire football field. Deshaun Watson has yet to throw for over 200 yards in a game. The Browns, who I kind of liked going into this season, the AFC North was kind of like this powerhouse. The Browns were supposed to be in the thick of things. They look horrible.
Oh, they're in the thick of it. They're in the thick of shit.
But they look horrible. Do they just Deshaun Watson just doesn't look the same? Do they just tank for Shador or somebody? I don't even know. They need a quarterback, and their defense hasn't really been that impressive. So they have issues.
They do have issues.
They look like the Browns. They look like the Browns from old.
They really do. It's actually unfortunate because I remember when Deshaun Watson was up for grabs, kind of. I wanted my Steelers to get him. It was like him or Russell Wilson. This is when Russell, I think, went to Denver. And then, obviously, Deshaun went to Cleveland. But I was like, I would love Deshaun Watson. The last time this guy played football, this was before, he started playing for the Browns. But I was like, last time this guy played football, he was like an MVP candidate.
It might not be like Deshaun Watson. I think if you're a quarterback and you just put on the Browns uniform, you just play like complete ass. I think that's it. Unless you're Joe Flacco, he's immune to that. But he is Joey Flacco.
And Baker when he plays the Steelers in the playoffs in Pittsburgh.
Baker had 3 good games with the Browns, but other than that,
I don't know. They might be cursed. I don't know. Moving on, we gotta talk about a banger of a game in the AFC South. Speaking of Joe Flacco, this guy's arm's gonna fall off with how many yards he's throwing for Indianapolis.
He's 40 soon.
They scored 24 points in the fourth quarter. The Steelers haven't scored 24 points in maybe 5 games total. I don't even know. They scored 24 points in the fourth quarter. They battle with the Jags. The Jags actually scored 17 themselves. This game, you could have just watched the fourth quarter of this game, and it was better than half the games that have happened this season offensively. But so many big plays. Obviously, there are a couple mean plays coming out of this, like the defensive back for the Colts, full extension, diving for the tackle. Every time Joe Flacco threw the ball in the fourth quarter, there was nobody around. I don't know what was happening, but it was just 60-yard bomb after play after play. But I will say, for the Jags, you have to be happy. You guys get your first win. Obviously, that's amazing. But Trevor Lawrence finally showed up. He remembered that the NFL season has started, so he's going to remember how to play football a little bit here. He played out of his mind. The backup running back for the Jags is apparently Walter Payton. Again, every time I put money on these players, like ETN, they forget how to play football. So the backup comes in. He runs out of his mind. The Jags, and what seems to be a fun, like I said, what should have been a fun division to watch, even though the Jaguars didn't win a game until yesterday or Sunday. But Great game, back and forth. I loved watching. I had it up on Red Zone. It was getting so good, I threw it off Red Zone. I just put it up on my other screen because it was insane. Watching literally every play was like a touchdown, like a 60-yard bomb play. It was really fun. But the Colts, they end up falling a little bit short. But Joe Flacco, 39 years old, he's got a little 24-yard scamper in him. I mean, this was a fun game. He's got wheels. But
kind of a big game for the Jags. It doesn't really take them. I mean, they obviously needed a win. They were 0-4. But like looking at their schedule and looking at how the Colts are playing, the Colts and the Texans, like they are winning games, but they don't look too great. I mean, the Jags, I don't think are dead yet. Like if they win like 3 of the next 4 games, like they're right back in it. So that's a big win for them. Obviously, they needed it.
I did say their season was over last week, but if Trevor finally like wakes up and this offense produces what it should be, they can maybe salvage the season. Like you said, there's really not like I know the Texans are in the front, the head of the division, but it's not like they're like, they don't look like they're going to run away with it anytime soon. Yeah. They've kind of struggled a little bit in the last 2 weeks, but yeah, I mean, good win for the Jags. They needed that bad.
Mentioning the Texans, the Bills, just a gift wrap a win for the Texans. You just hand over the game to the Texans. Honestly, wasn't impressed with either team in this game. I mean, the Texans without Nico Collins didn't look good at all as when he went out at halftime. They were up 20-3 early in the third quarter, but the Bills get back into the game and tie it 20-20. Should have gone to overtime, but the Bills throw 3 pass plays backed up with 40 seconds left, take 10 seconds off the clock, throw 3 deep balls.
This was insane.
Take no time off the clock and hand the ball right back to the Texans. Fairbairn kicks a 59-yarder, drills it, and the Texans walk off and win. But the Bills, back-to-back losses. Josh Allen, 25 for 59 for 311 yards combined in the past 2 games.
Yeah, that's not good. That's really not good.
That's not good at all. Like I mentioned last week, Shakur was out in this game. Keon Coleman really hasn't stepped up as that guy. Who's going to do it for the Bills? Like
Devontae Adams when they trade for him and sign him, maybe.
Interesting.
Like they need something.
Interesting.
Like they need something. I mean, great. And the Texans literally, like, it was a back and forth. Like it was like here, you can have it. No, you can have it. Yeah. The Texans 2 turnovers in the fourth quarter of this game to allow the Bills to come back and even get in this game. Let alone they should have won it. Really, they had the ball. I know they kicked the game tying field goal up until that point, but they should have scored there to take the lead. But the 3 pass plays, I know Sean McDermott has already come out and said, but like. What are we doing here? What are you doing? 3 pass plays, and they're not even like quick hitters. They're not even like
you play for overtime.
Like they're not even like get the ball out, like it's a secure catch, maybe run the. They're just like we're gonna throw it 60 yards down the field, 1-on-1 coverage, and hope for the best. Like
that was a wild game. I mean, the Bills you never know what's gonna happen in overtime, but you don't give the other team a chance at the end of the game there.
No, the Bills dropping 2 straight is not good.
Yeah, they need to get back after it. Luckily, they're kind of in I wouldn't say a weak division, but I mean, no one really looks that great in the AFC East right now.
No.
But let's move on to the Ravens. Winning 3 straight in a game that gave me a heart attack about 4 different times. They went in a shootout against the Bengals. No defense in sight for any of this game at all. This was a roller coaster of emotions for me. Lamar looked like MVP Lamar. Before that big 51-yard run from Derrick Henry in overtime, he only had 41 yards rushing. Lamar had 348 in the air, 4 passing touchdowns, 55 yards on the ground. The Bengals had a game plan to make Lamar beat him with his arm, and he did that. But our defense didn't show up. But the Bengals, I got to give credit to the Bengals offense. They have one of the best offenses in the NFL. They look great. Burrow threw for 392, 5 touchdowns. I believe Jamar Chase had over 200 yards receiving, but he did have that costly interception late in the fourth quarter. Marlon Humphrey comes up with that. The Ravens tie the game. Justin Tucker, he's all the way back, drills a 56-yarder with the wind blowing left to right, take it to OT. Lamar fumbles. The Bengals run it 3 times. McPherson, the holder, messes up the kick, messes up the hold. He shanks it to the left. Derrick Henry, give it to Derrick Henry. That's all she wrote. The Ravens, huge win, huge division win for the Ravens, winning 3 straight after starting 0-2. And also on the other side, a huge loss for the Bengals, who are now 1-4.
Yeah,
I believe Joe Burrow leads the league in passing touchdowns and passing yards. And they're 1-4.
That's not great.
That's not great.
I actually almost called this, by the way. On our last episode, I was like, I have a weird feeling about this Bengals game, man. I had Cincinnati, I think, written down, but I went with you guys. Thank God. Thank God they mess up
the division game. I'm out. We could be 20-point favorites, and I would be scared.
They should have won this game. Obviously, the hold was basically what really it came down to, but. Yeah, I did see an interview with Chase after the game. He said he didn't run a great route for Burrow on that slant route. But overall, like you said, Burrow playing out of his mind right now. A poor guy. I mean, they 1-4, and you have a quarterback playing really well is unfortunate. I'm not sure what it is for them moving forward. That's not great. Obviously, kind of like the Browns, they had a lot of promise. Like you said, our division was supposed to be this powerhouse, and they're 1-4. I know it was the Ravens, but they had this game wrapped up a couple of times and didn't capitalize on it. And they make a couple of mistakes, and letting Henry. They know after Lamar fumbled, they probably are going to come out first play, run the ball when they get the ball back, and they just let Henry.
Knew. Yeah, I mean they knew it was a run. I'm sure they were stuffing him all game. They were stacking the box. And Lamar was thrown over their heads. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, rough game for the Bengals, man. I mean, to lose like that at home, you have the game won, in my opinion. Obviously, Lamar, like you said, it was Lamar, but they did a good job with Henry and other parts. They did enough to win this game, even though I will say the one play by Lamar, by the way, when he was running and stiff-armed the guy and then just did a Cam Ward. This is what Cam Ward thought he was going to do. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. But when Cam Ward threw it across his body and threw an interception, this is what he thought was going to happen.
Yeah, that was
Lamar cross-body touchdown pass.
Stiff arms like a 270-pound line.
Twice. He's like,
get off of me, son.
That was a fun game, though. Fun game to watch. Another shootout, which I was happy to see. Not just a 17-10 game, but unfortunate for the Bengals. But let's move on. Let's talk about another fortune team. The 49ers actually were watching film of the Ravens and were like, how are they losing these first 2 games and almost losing their third game against Dallas? They were like, oh, they're the worst team in the fourth quarter. Let's implement that into our scheme and our team and see how it goes for us. The 49ers are now the worst fourth quarter team in the NFL by far. They're going in for a game-winning touchdown against the Cardinals. A little division battle. It's a little bit back and forth all day, but 49ers are continually making plays. Bosa has a huge interception in this game. Brock Purdy's looking good. Mason's running well, 6 yards a carry or something. They're going in to win this game late in the fourth. They give it to Mason on a little swing, a little pitch on the left side. And for some reason, when running backs get tackled for 3-yard losses, they don't accept that right away. They like to battle back and fight. So he gets punched in the face and then has the ball popped out in the same play. The Cardinals go down and take the lead in this game after it was gift-wrapped again, another gift-wrap game. But the Cardinals go down and take the lead with a touchdown. Then the 49ers get the ball again late in the game, multiple weeks of this now, to win the game or tie the game or whatever. And then Brock Purdy gets his arm hit, interception, and they now lose another. They've now lost 3 of the last 4 games, and all of them being close fourth quarter games. This is unfortunate for the 49ers. I know they're not completely healthy, but they had Debo back. They have Kittle back. Kittle catches a touchdown pass in this game. They looked good on both sides of the ball until literally it was like watching the Ravens of the NFC. I've never seen anything like this. This is crazy. They lose to the IR Rams. I mean, they did blow out the New England Patriots, but then they lose this game when, in my opinion, they had a gift wrap. They're going into, I think they score there. Brock Purdy on that drive was hitting, I mean, it was just bang, 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 8 completions in a row. And then the first play they run the ball, Mason gets the ball knocked out.
Yeah.
Cardinals drive all the way down the field, take the win, or take the lead, and then Brock Purdy throws a It really wasn't his fault. He got hit while throwing, but still, just those are tough losses. I don't care how good of a team you are. I don't care how well coached you are. Those are tough fourth quarter losses for the 49ers, and I don't know. I don't know about them right now.
Yeah, it's tough when the game comes down to like one mistake, like that Jordan Mason like fumble. Like I've lived that with the Ravens for the past like year. Like when it's just one or two plays in the fourth quarter that lose the game for you, and it sucks as a fan because you're like, we should have won this game. It should have been an easy win, and we lose it. And they did the same thing against the Rams. So it just sucks for the 49ers. I think they're going to be okay, though. I think they're fine. Luckily, that division, like the Giants just got a big win over Seattle. The Cardinals are also 2-3.
It's close.
The Rams are 1-4. So, they are still very much alive.
Yeah. I think they just got I think it's just a little bit of like buttoning up. I think that's all it really is, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But overall, I give credit to the Cardinals. They got the ball off that turnover, and they could have just went 3 and out and struggled to move the ball. They go right down the field and score.
Yeah.
So kudos to the Cardinals. Kyler Murray played really well. My man called his touchdown with 3 seconds into the play on that touchdown run. So he played really well against a really good defense. I know he had the interception, but keep it in the same division. Like you said, the Seahawks lose to the Giants. Every time I pick some of these without Malik Neighbors, Daniel Jones. Anyway, This game's in Seattle. The Seattle Seahawks have now lost 2 in a row. Another team that's gone down 2 in a row. The Giants dominated the line of the scrimmage in this game. I don't know if anybody was watching this game, but if you were and you were a Seahawks fan, I'm sorry, but they were dominating the line of scrimmage
across the country to do that.
Literally, Dexter Lawrence is a problem. Okay. Him and Chris Jones are now the best interior linemen I've seen since Aaron Donald retired, and Dexter Lawrence is just throwing people around. He dominated this game. He's dominated all year. I think he has 3-4 sacks on the year or something like that. He's causing havoc everywhere.
Which is crazy for a interior guy.
Yeah. I mean, it is wild. And he had this game against Chicago, but unfortunately, because he plays for the Giants, no one has really been talking about him. But this game put everybody on notice. They bullied the Seahawks offensive line. Geno Smith did as much as he could, I feel like, running around for his life. But it was just not enough. The Giants just they control the line of scrimmage. And Seattle has a chance to take a lead on a game-winning field goal, I think. Game-tying field goal. And they do a little jump over the center and block the field goal.
3 different guys could have blocked that kick. I don't know what the Seahawks were doing.
Yeah, that was bad. That was a bad execution. A lot of blocked kicks this weekend, but that's how the Giants walk it off in Seattle. Seattle again losing 2 in a row now. I know last week was against Detroit. In Detroit, that's acceptable. But you start 3-0 now. You fall to the Giants at home. That's a bad loss. I mean, like you said, luckily the San Francisco lost, and
they could have really had a hold of the division if they just would have won this game. Moving forward, but
at 4-1, yeah. But they don't. Dexter Lawrence said, "No, not today."
We can move on to the Packers. Jordan Love gets his first win of the year as the starter for the Packers, in a much needed win. If they're going to compete with the Vikings, who are 5-0 currently, Love throws for 4 TDs. After a really bad decision throwing a pick 6 as he was falling out of the back of the end zone.
My man got possessed by freaking Will Levis.
Yeah, Will Levis, Carson Wentz type of play. The Rams off to the worst start since moving to LA in 2016. But the amount of injuries for the Rams is crazy that they are still in games in the fourth quarter. They just don't have any guys to finish off the game. Honestly, I feel bad for the Rams. It feels like that one season when the Ravens had 23 people on the injured reserve or something crazy like that. It's like you just don't have the guys to win games. And the Packers, I mean, they looked okay in this game. I feel like they should have dominated this game, but they didn't. The pick 6 obviously doesn't help. The Rams would have scored, I think, 10 points if Love doesn't throw that pick 6. So big win for the Packers, but not a great, we are a dominant football team.
Yeah.
And the Rams are 1-4. So Not good.
Yeah. The Stafford interception too in late in the game was very questionable. He kind of threw up a prayer really that ended up being an interception, and they were moving the ball. Like I don't know what some of the decision making he's had in his career is, but that's probably why he has the most like game winning drives. He just does it on purpose, I guess, in the first three quarters. But questionable interception from him, and yeah, it's been a bit of a shock. I know they're injured, but a Sean McVay team, he's always got them well coached, and but like you said, they have nobody defensively or offensively to close games. They used to have the best defensive player I've ever seen close games, 99. And Aaron Donald, and now they have nobody really offensively to do it either. It's unfortunate, but they are still in games, so it's not like they're getting blown out. So they might have some salvage of a season. If they can win a couple until they get fully healthy, they might be able to save their season. But overall, like you said, Packers needed that win. Jordan Love needed that win because he was 0-2 on the season. So
yeah,
we'll see. I mean, a weird game because it's hard to kind of get a grasp of like what those teams are, but. Yeah. Moving on, my Steelers. Good Lord, my Steelers.
Here we go. Lock in. Get your seatbelts. Lock them in.
I have on my notes just yap. These are my notes, guys. Mike Tomlin should be fired and just yap. That's my notes. Mike Tomlin. I'm gonna make a video. By the way, it will come out later on in this week. I will make a fully dedicated Mike Tomlin rant video. So I'm gonna save my tongue for that, but. I'll just talk about the game overall. Our offense looks like they've never actually written up plays before, ever, in the history of the NFL. Our defense, I'm on Twitter, and I'll talk about this too in my Mike Tomlin rant, but we have the dumbest fan base in the NFL, and it's not even close. Like, we have the most delusional and dumb fan base in the NFL. I'm on Twitter after this game. Guys, if you aren't a Steeler fan and you watch this game, and you watch the defense get 2 turnovers, 1 interception in the red zone, a blocked field goal, a strip sack fumble, you'd been like, wow, they held a team to 6 points at the half and 20 total on the game. You'd been like, wow, that was a good defensive performance. Well, not when you're a Steeler fan. If you go to Twitter shortly after this game, apparently the defense lost us this game. I don't know what these Yinzers are looking at out there in Pittsburgh. I don't know what they watch, but they're all idiots. So I'm happy to be a part of the dumbest fan base in the NFL. But getting back to the game, our offense is inept. We have no idea how to move the football. Najee Harris doesn't look great. The offensive line doesn't look great. My number one receiver is literally jogging routes in the third quarter of this game because he gave up. I don't blame him.
Currency on him. That's why.
Every time we put money on these players, they just don't. They just quit playing football. They just don't want to play anymore. But George Pickens is literally jogging routes in the third quarter of this game. Our defense literally, like I said, three turnovers, a strips. Like, what more could you want from this defense? And even the game-winning touchdown pass is like tight man-to-man coverage. Like, it's not like that we're just giving them freebies. Our linebacker on the goal line causes a fumble. Luckily, Dak's there to just land on it. But our defense is not only the reason we have 3 wins on the season. It was the reason we were even in this game. We took CeeDee Lamb completely out of this game. I will say Dak Prescott in that offense did have 2 great drives in the fourth quarter, score 14 to stay in the game and then eventually take the lead in the game. But overall, I'm just sick of watching the same offense. If you've been watching the Steelers since 2020, since Ben's been gone, it's been the toughest watch in the NFL. Like, every time we play on primetime, I go on Twitter and people are like shocked about how bad we are, and everyone else is just like, yeah, it's the same old Steelers. Like, we just suck offensively. And if you've been a Steeler fan, this is the stupidest thing ever, because from 2013 or 12 to 18, we'd score 40 points a game and lose because our defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. And now we can't score more than 14 points offensively, and our defense is pinching shutouts, basically. And I don't want to be a fan anymore.
I mean, I don't know what to think, because like the defense I think they're the reason that you guys are 3-0. I understand like your reasoning on the offense, but I mean, they're the highest paid defense in the NFL for a reason. I guess you have to go and get that win there at the end of the game. But I mean, the offense obviously is non-existent, so I understand your frustration there. When I'm watching their offense, I think I'm watching Army and the Army-Navy game when they play. It's pretty bad. George Pickens, I mean, I don't blame George Pickens, because like I'm not getting the ball regardless if I run a route properly or not. So, yeah, it's just tough. It's a tough scene, I guess. I mean, you're 3-2. It's not like you're in a horrible spot, but I mean,
No,
looking forward, it's not great.
offensively, it's just not good. Like realistically, it's not good. When you texted me, and I said the same thing when you texted me about the 3 timeouts, we have a minute left before half's over, and we take the ball into halftime.
Yeah.
Like, what are we? We have no confidence offensively. There's no identity to. Like, we call plays on offense like it's 1935, and I'm sick of it. And I'm not trying to be this guy. I'm not hating on Fields. I'm glad he's found a new team and has been playing well. But we have a 9-time Pro Bowler on the bench, and easily would have scored more points. We held the Dallas Cowboys to 6 points at home at halftime, and we did nothing in the first half. But anyway, fire Mike Tomlin. I'll get into that. Be ready for that video. That's going to be a banger of a video.
Just get a big win on Monday Night Football against the fraudulent New Orleans Saints. The only thing I'm going to say about this game is Andy Reid is the best play caller of all time, the best play maker / designer of all time, and the Chiefs' front seven might be the best in the NFL.
They're getting after it.
They're getting after it. Derek Carr really didn't have any time to throw, but when he did have time to throw, it was not good. When he threw that ball up on the first drive like he was playing jackpot in the backyard, I knew the Saints were just fraudulent. I knew they were going to lose that game. The Chiefs dominate, and the Saints suck. And I don't want to talk about how good the Chiefs are because I don't like them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the highlight of this game is definitely the Chiefs' defense and Spags. We were talking about this before we even started recording this. Some of these guys in the NFL are just coordinators. They're not head coaches. They should know who they are, and they should know the spot that they're in. And Spags knows that and understands that to a T. He's a defensive guy. He does not need to be a head coach. Brian Flores might be on the same boat here. And
he's calling timeouts like he's a head coach and not getting flagged for it.
He's like that. He's like that. I mean, the defense is playing really well. I mean, their front seven is almost unblockable right now. I know Chris Jones is the highlight of that group, but overall, they're not a fun team to play defensively. Obviously, offensively, they've not been what we've seen. They need a receiver out there. They really need to look into like maybe a Devontae Adams. I know it's in the division, so it's hard to find that, but I don't care. They need to figure out offensively how to get going a little bit. But like you said, the play calling for Andy Reid, a lot of the play actions, guys are just wide open. Tight ends coming across the middle are wide open. Even Worthy, the one pass we talked about, it was behind him, but he's wide open. Like everybody's just wide open for this Chiefs team. And I wish they kind of pushed the ball down the field a little bit more. I know that they're relying on check downs and kind of behind the line of scrimmage plays, but I feel like if they get a guy, a number one receiver, and the offense starts looking like really good again, that's not great for the NFL. Like their defense is playing really well. It's kind of shocking.
Let's look at our week 4 pick results.
I was really hoping we would just skip this, but
week 5, I believe, actually.
Yes,
pick
week
results.
5. Week 5 in the NFL. All right. Let's start with Thursday Night Football. I talked about it. I'll talk about it how I was wrong again. I took the Bucks. Obviously, I think they should have won this game, but they didn't. I had the Bucks. Did you have?
I had the Falcons.
Yeah. So every time you pick the Falcons and I don't, they win. So I'm gonna start having you go first on their games. And then next up we had the London game, Minnesota. I was right about. You had the Jets. And so we split on that. Aaron Rodgers kind of let you down on Sunday morning there.
He did.
Unfortunately.
We both had the Bears against the Panthers, and then we both had my Ravens against the Bengals. We both get wins there.
I had the Panthers.
Did you? Oh. Okay. I had the Bears.
I did not have the Bears.
Unless
I changed it.
You did have the Texans against the Bills.
Unless I changed the Bears, because I have it written down as Carolina. So unless I changed it, we'll go back and look. But I'm pretty sure I chose the Red Rocket.
But we both did have the Ravens, and we both had the Texans over the Bills.
Which was a close one, and luckily I got that right. Moving on, we had the shootout, Joe Flacco,
Yeah.
and the Jags. I had the Jags in this one. I got that right. Did you have the Jags?
I had the
in this?
Colts. No, I picked
So
the
we
Colts.
honestly, that's not even a bad pick. That game could have
Yeah,
went
yeah.
either way, but we split on that one, and then we had another game that I'm not even sure was aired on television, but the New England Patriots fall to the Dolphins. I had the Patriots in this one, and
I
Jacoby.
also did have the
Yeah,
Patriots
so
as well.
we both lost that one.
But we both did have the Commanders, and we both were right on that one. The Browns absolutely stink. I'll continue to pick against them. And then I had the Broncos over the Raiders in that division matchup.
I did not.
You had the Raiders.
I don't know why I did that. You know why? I had Denver written down. Why did I do that? Like,
I remember watching it back. You were like, I don't care that they're not with Devontae Adams. I like the Raiders.
I'm an idiot.
And I don't know why,
I'm
but it's
an idiot.
okay.
I got possessed by the same possession that Jordan Love had on that one play.
We both had the 49ers who lost to the Cardinals. Unfortunately, they blow another game. I think we were both on them when they lost to the Rams.
Yes.
So they're just selling us.
Yeah.
And then when we were on the other side of this one, I had the Packers. You had the Rams. Packers get the dub.
Not good for me this week
okay,
at all. I started this season at 13-3.
Give me some makeup room. I'm gonna miss back.
That's crazy. Moving on, I'll talk about the next two games. The Seahawks lose to the Giants when I pick them because stupid.
Yeah.
They lose at home. I think we were both wrong on this one.
Yep.
And then my Steelers forget how to play offense. They just, I don't know what's happening. They lose to Dallas. Did you pick Dallas in this game?
I did have Dallas, yeah.
That's good. That's smart.
That's smart.
That was smart.
I didn't have the Chiefs on Monday night because I keep picking against them and they just keep winning. But I'm just going to continue to do that until they lose, and it's going to be the best week ever.
I'm gonna have free wins on that every week.
He might. Unless they play the Raiders, like they'll have two division matchups against the Raiders that I'll pick them, I guess. And those will be the ones that they lose.
So I end up going 6-8 on that NFL pick. He goes 8-6. That brings me to 43-35, and that brings Jason to 40-38. It's very close.
I'm gonna come up.
It is close. He's coming back, guys. I need to lock in next. I need a big week, man. I need a big week.
All right, let's move to college foosball.
Talk about a banger. We thought this upcoming Saturday was going to be bangers.
Yeah, this
was crazy.
Kind of nutty. I mean, a lot of the games we didn't have in our Week 5 picks we should have been the other way. But starting with our Week 5 results, Missouri went to Texas A&M and got blown at. We were both on the Texas A&M side. We are sharp. Just listen to our picks because we both got a W on that one. And then we both – oh, go ahead.
SMU goes into Louisville. I thought Louisville was going to win this game. I thought they were going to bounce back from losing to, I think, Arizona or something the week before. And I really needed from the Miami Hurricanes, I needed the Cardinals to win this game so we actually have a ranked team on the schedule. And they were like, nah, Matt, screw you and the Hurricanes. We're going to lose to SMU. SMU winning the last two games. Pretty impressive.
The ACC.
Pretty impressive from SMU. I'm not going to lie. So
I definitely thought Louisville was going to bounce back as well. I was on the same side. Both lost on that one. And then Ole Miss gets a win in South Carolina. I was on Ole Miss. You were on South Carolina.
The Gamecocks did me dirty, man.
They
did me dirty. 3 points at home?
Yeah.
You playing the 85 Bears?
With a big win that they needed to bounce back after losing to Kentucky.
Yeah. And then lastly, the Miami Hurricanes went into California, forgot how to play football for 3 quarters. We were both right on this one.
That was a crazy game. Holy shit.
We come out and talk. I don't even have notes for this. Let me talk about this game really quick here for just a second. We were both right on this. So let me recap this picks really quick. I go 2-2. Jason goes 3-1. Again, another close-ish. Both of our NFL picks and our college picks are now decided by 3. A difference of 3. So that takes me to 17-14, him to 20-11. He's doing it. We're both positive on the season, which is good. But this upcoming week we got bangers. We'll talk about that Thursday. But let me talk about my Miami Hurricanes here, guys. I know that you might be back, but we are letting it get to our head a little bit, especially in the quarterback position. I know this nonchalant talk about Cam.
Redhead.
I know there's all this talk about Jokic at the quarterback position, the Kamara type player. We need to just tone it down a little bit, so that when we go to California. I know it was a late start. I know we're not used to that. We're playing football at 1:45 in the morning. We're not used to that, but we need to just relax. We couldn't stop Cal. Every play they had is like 60-yard touchdowns. We've never seen what a play fake out of the backfield flat route looks like. Apparently, they invented that. So kudos to Cal. They make us go into their house and battle, which what a lot of people thought was probably going to just be a walk in the park game, and unfortunately it wasn't. But I just wanted to say that I think even though it was a win, we are undefeated. We're 5-0 now. We got to tone it down a little bit. The noise, Miami being back, like Cam Ward needs to really lock in. The last 2 weeks, he's had some stupid turnovers. Like I said, he thought he was Lamar Jackson on Saturday night. He thought that he could throw across his body like Lamar and it was going to be completed. Unfortunately, it was intercepted. And our defense the last 2 weeks has looked very bad, very unprepared, very bad defensively. We need to button that up when we start playing better teams, even though we don't really have too much the rest of the way as far as competition, but we're still going to play good offenses. And when we get into the playoffs, we're going to really need to lock in defensively with some of the offenses and quarterbacks that we're going to see. We can't even stop Jared Goff 2.0 and Cal. I forgot Aaron Rodgers and Marshawn Lynch suited up for the game. So we really need to button that up. The last 2 weeks have been kind of disappointing for the Miami Hurricanes, in my opinion. I just wanted to touch on that. But let's continue to talk about the week 6 recap of this crazy college football Saturday. Holy upset city. 5 teams in the top 11 fall. So let's break it down.
Wild.
Starting off, we got our matchup of the week, which didn't actually end up being a good matchup at all. We should have went with maybe even Miami,
Vanderbilt, Alabama.
Anybody but this game, because the Missouri Tigers figured out what it's like to play a good football team. They get embarrassed by Texas A&M 41-10.
Get them at.
41-10. Are you kidding me? Get them at the top 25. Texas A&M put up 512 yards of offense against a good Missouri Tigers defense and go 7 for 12 on the money down on third down. You can't stop them on first down. You can't stop them on second down, and you really can't stop them on third down. That's not a recipe for success. This offense led by Connor Wigman came in. Like we talked about, it was either going to be a dual threat look with the backup, or Connor's going to come back and start throwing this thing down the field. And they come out. He throws for 276 yards, no touchdowns, but offensively they came out balanced. Le'Veon Moss with 138 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns on the ground for the Aggies. They come out. Their offense dominates the Tigers. They just showed me, Jason, and everybody else in the country that Missouri are frauds. It was a big question mark going into this game. Biggest test of the season. You're on the road against, and don't get me wrong, I know the Aggies are good, but the 25th best team in the country, you come out like that? Ooh. But
yeah, I think the Aggies are a little underrated after losing to, I believe they lost to Notre Dame week 1.
Yes.
They were coming into their season like they had high. That's a good football team.
Yeah. No, they are. But a quick little stat, if you are a Texas A&M fan, things are on the rise for you guys, because you guys are now 3-0 in conference play, and you have the 3rd easiest remaining schedule the rest of the way in the SEC moving forward. So if you are the Texas A&M Aggies, you get to just lock in, play good football the rest of the way, and you're probably going to win out, in my opinion. They just need to, keep their head down, stay laser focused, and keep piling on from this win, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It would be good.
We can continue to talk about the SEC because the Vanderbilt Commodores.
If you didn't see this is history in the making here, people.
Upset number 1 ranked Alabama. Vanderbilt had lost all 60 of their top 5 ranked matchups in the history of their program. That changed on Saturday. They beat number 1 ranked Alabama and proceed to throw the goalpost in the river on Broadway. It was banana land.
Dude.
Vanderbilt scored the first 13 points of the game, had a 16-point lead in the second quarter, Alabama just didn't show up to play. They looked bad. They had too many penalties in critical situations. Vanderbilt never trailed in this game, and Alabama's defense couldn't get them off the field. 0 sacks from an Alabama defense against Vanderbilt.
That's unbelievable.
Vandy held the ball for over 42 minutes, converted 12 of their 18 third downs. I mean, they did what they had to do to win that football game. Alabama didn't show up. Vanderbilt did everything they had to do to win that game, and they upset Alabama. Jalen Milroe, a Heisman candidate, can't get it done. Had an unlucky pick six early in the game. I believe it was his second pass. It got tipped. Vanderbilt takes that to the house, and then they never looked back after that.
Yeah, this was obviously the craziest, the talk of the weekend by far. Unfortunately for Alabama, we did kind of touch on the coaching staff after last week's game against Georgia when they should have won big and they almost lose. We did hint on they should have been questioned and stuff. I wish I would have went with my gut on talking about, but I should have known when Kalen DeBoer came out for that interview after the game and was all smiles, all giddy, all happy after being up 28-0 and almost losing at home. I should have known that this team was going to come out with a lull eventually. Not to Vanderbilt. That just shows me even more that I was right with my gut feeling. Kalen DeBoer, I don't know what to think of him as Alabama's coach. Their defense, don't get me wrong, Jalen Milroe, they scored 38 points. They should have won this game. You give up 40 points to a baseball school? No sacks? Are we kidding me? Yeah. What were they on third down? 12 of 18?
12 of 18, yeah.
Are you kidding me? DeBoer and this coaching staff, especially defensively, needs to figure out what is going on. That is unbelievable. And it's unfortunate because Vanderbilt's going to go in the next 2 weeks and probably lose and get bounced out of the top 25 for no reason. But if you're Alabama, you really got to start questioning the coaching staff here because obviously you're coming off of a decade of Nick Saban. That never would have happened to Nick Saban. I'm pretty sure I saw something that was Alabama gave up more points in this game than Saban did his whole career at Alabama against Vanderbilt. That's insane. Kalen DeBoer and the coaching staff, they really need to lock in. You got guys, I forget number 13's name for Alabama. He's literally throwing a temper tantrum, slamming the quarterback's head into the ground. It's just, they do not look buttoned up. Kalen DeBoer is asking him to get off the field, and 13's like, nah, bro.
Nah.
Could you imagine a player saying no to getting off the field to Nick Saban?
You wouldn't be playing.
The keys to the car and the new house would have been on the desk, and he would have walked.
It would be like that video when the dude gets cut from the Jets and he can't get into the facility the next day.
Could you imagine somebody saying no to Nick Saban? Oh my gosh, they need to figure a lot out in Alabama. I know that they're still a good team. They have a great quarterback, and I like DeBoer as a coach, but he needs to lock in. They need to really lock in. That was bad. But sticking in the SEC, what is happening in the SEC? They come in this week, they look like the powerhouse, and now they look like the freaking doghouse. Tennessee, what the hell are we doing in this game against the Arkansas Razorbacks? Obviously, a great win for the Razorbacks. Don't get me wrong. At home, Nico. I don't even know how to say this guy's last name. I think it's.
Yeah, it's hard. I kind of know it, but I'm not going to try it.
It's Ima Lavea, something like that. We're gonna go with Nico. This guy,
L.
Nico L. What are we doing on the last play of this game, big guy? What are we doing? Arkansas makes it a 5-point game. They go in, they take the lead. Mind you, before the touchdown to take the lead, this is a low-scoring game, by the way, especially for Tennessee's perspective. They're known for putting up points. But they take the lead. They go up 5. Prior to this play, though, they fumbled the ball on the goal line. Luckily, they recover to keep this game alive for them. But they do go in and score. Their running back has some big runs late in this game to keep them in it. But they go for 2. They go for 2 to make it a 7-point game. They don't get it. Tennessee's defense rises up here at the end a little bit. But Tennessee's offense gets the ball. Like I said, Tennessee's defense keeps them in the game. They stop them from getting the 2-point conversion. Tennessee has the ball with over a minute left with 2 timeouts. That's more than enough time to go down and score the game-winning touchdown here on the road. Again, they haven't played great, but they have an opportunity. They drive all the way down to get in scoring range. Mind you, Nico escaped on 3rd and 2. He escapes pressure from his left, rolling around, looking like Lamar, throws opposite side a 40-yard bomb off of his, rolling left, throwing with his right, one-on-one coverage. The receiver comes down with it. Huge play, huge momentum swing. They have all the momentum now. Stadium's quiet. Just to get the ball again in third down, they get the pass batted down. Nico missed, in my opinion. They had a deep in route coming in behind the over the middle, like shallow cross. He had the deep in cut route. I think he missed it. The safety might have got there to make it a bang play, but you got to confidently get that ball in there on third down. Anyway, he throws it over the middle. The ball gets batted down. So now we're in fourth down. Game on the line. Gotta have it. 6 seconds left. And he decides to run the ball out of bounds and end the game without throwing the ball. And I'm not sure what happened here. I did see on the top side of the screen there was a receiver open, it looked like. I don't know if it would have scored, but not sure. Obviously, the thought process here is like you got to at least throw the ball up for grabs or something. Like you can't. There's no time left. I don't know if he got confused with how much time was left in this game. He did scramble, gets pushed out of bounds, and the game is over. And Tennessee loses and falls to Arkansas on the road. They were number 4 going into this game. Like you got to have that play, Nico. I get it. It's a tough situation. Your heart's probably racing, but like at the very least, you got to at least throw the ball up and give somebody a chance to make a play. He did kind of miss a couple plays here at the end of the game that costed Tennessee losing. But overall, like I said, great win for Arizona. But this was a crazy game. And to come down to that last play like that is wild. Wild.
Yeah. Tennessee has a lot of – their schedule isn't easy moving forward as well. So that's a big loss for them.
Neither is Alabama. I know we didn't really talk about that, but Alabama's got some tough games too coming up.
I think they play each other soon.
Yeah.
I guess I'll talk about USC if I have to. They are not a good football team. I watched this entire game against Minnesota, and I don't even know how to explain it. If you look at the box score, you're like, what happened to USC? But they did have 3 critical turnovers, which gave Minnesota the advantage. It's not an easy place to play. Minnesota gets a little rowdy in their house. I believe it was like 70. It was like a record high in temperature for a Minnesota game in October. But USC just gift wrapped this, put a bow on the game, said, here you go, Minnesota. Merry Christmas. USC should not be in the top 25. I don't believe they are. They go from 11th. They get bounced out of the top 25 where they belong. That is a bad football team. I don't want to talk about them ever again.
That's fair enough. I didn't watch that game, but Jay broke it down, and everything he said is right. Let's move on to the Washington-Michigan game. Washington comes out big in a revenge game after they lose in the national. They lost in the national championship game to Michigan. So this is a bit of a revenge game here. The quarterback play for Michigan is a massive problem and needs to be fixed. But I fear that time is up, unfortunately, for Michigan. I don't know what they're going to do about that at all moving forward, but they lose now their second game. They get blown out at home by Texas, and then they lose to a Washington team who is, sure, they're okay, but you're Michigan. You're not supposed to be losing this game. But Michigan's defense, in my opinion, did enough in the 3 quarters that I watched of this game to win, or to at least be in it. Their offense, it really looked like I was watching the Steelers, to be honest. Their defense did enough in 3 quarters to keep Michigan in this game. But again, Michigan's quarterback play is maybe the worst in the country. But Washington eventually comes back, and they have 3 scoring drives in the fourth quarter, 2 field goals and a touchdown. You're not going to be able to hold teams to no points forever in the second half. So they pull away in the fourth quarter. Both Michigan quarterbacks, listen to this, combined for 113 yards passing.
Yeah.
Are we serious? 1 touchdown and 1 interception. They have a massive problem at quarterback. Like, it's been like this even since Harbaugh got there. Even the year they won the national championship. I know McCarthy did enough to win a lot of those games, but they've never had a guy. They've never had a great quarterback there under, the last, whenever Harbaugh got there in like 2016 or whatever it was. But now they don't even have a guy. They don't have anybody. Like, it's bad. They're playing football like it's 1926. This isn't 1926 anymore. I'm sorry. Not taking anything away from the Huskies. They did, they put up almost 500 yards of offense. They played a great game. They only had 2 penalties. They didn't shoot themselves in the foot. They didn't let Michigan come in and just sneak a win out. They played good, and they handled business. They had a great game plan. It felt like everything they were doing was working offensively, defensively, whether it was throwing the ball, running the ball. And the defense in the second half held the Wolverines to 7 points. So they came out of halftime. They locked down. And in my opinion, I think Michigan's season's over.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was never high on Michigan to start the season. I think like week 1, I said like they're ranked too high. They don't have a quarterback. And I mean, they had a good win against USC, but USC, I just talked about, they are a bad football team, so they don't have any good wins anymore.
Yeah.
Michigan, I mean, they don't have a guy, and they lost too many pieces last season. They are still the reigning champs, but they should just hold on to that as long as they can. This season is over for them.
Yeah.
Let's move on. And I'm embarrassed to say that it took us 5 weeks to mention this guy's name on this podcast. But Ashton Genty is making history running the football.
This man the Heisman.
I'm about to just blow your mind with these stats if you haven't heard them already. He has over 1,000 yards rushing in 5 weeks, 16 touchdowns. He's averaging over 10 yards per carry on the season. He's reached 1,000 yards rushing before he had 100 carries. Last week, he had 186 yards and 3 touchdowns on 13 carries. In the first half, he didn't even play in the second half because they were winning by 50. He has more rushing yards through 5 weeks than Barry Sanders had on Oklahoma State in his 1988 Heisman Trophy season. If Ashton Genty runs for 2,800 yards, I don't know how you give the Heisman to anyone else except him. I don't care who they're playing against. It doesn't matter. He's standing in the backfield like he's Michael Myers, just standing straight up behind the bushes, just ready to dominate your entire defense. I will be on Ashton Genty watch for the rest of the season. This guy's a dog. He runs on a blue field when he plays at home. It's fun to watch. Boise State in the top 25. Watch out.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on everything. Everybody knows about this guy now. Like you said, he's just standing there menacingly in the backfield. Yeah, I love Travis Hunter. Like, I love him being a two-way player. I love, Cam Ward and, Jalen Milroe, a lot of these quarterbacks. I'm sorry, but this is the Heisman winner. I'm not even sure if he even has, like, bad games the rest of the year. What he's doing is, like, unheard of. Yeah. Like, it's insane. So, like he said, it should not have taken us this long to talk about it, but it is Boise State. Yeah. So it's hard to – yeah, they are here. And they got Michael Myers in the backfield, and he's running around. But speaking of top 25, let's get into the top 25 because we got some movement.
We got some movement for sure.
All right, we do this every week. We start with the top 4 because they've been pretty much the same teams for 5 out of the 6 weeks.
We switched it up a little bit.
We switched it up a little bit. So now if we go from Alabama, Ohio State, Texas, and who was in the Tennessee. Yeah. To now we have Texas at 1. Ohio State at 2, Oregon at 3, and Penn State at 4. So now we go from the SEC being dominant in the top 4 to now the Big Ten said, hey, we're here. We've arrived. These guys in the SEC, guys in the SEC suck. Yes, everyone in the top 4 is undefeated. I actually agree with most of these. I think the only one I could question is Penn State just because I wouldn't say question, but I think Penn State and Oregon still need one of those wins. I know Ohio State really hasn't played anybody either, but they did just crush Iowa. So, yeah. But overall, I will say quickly of the top 4, I agree with Texas at 1. I said that last week. They should have never fell out of the top 1. And then Ohio State at 2. I agree with these 4. Like, I think these are good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree as far, like, they haven't lost yet, and they're dominating. So, I mean, we got a 2-3 matchup this Saturday, which is going to be awesome. And then Penn State gets a horrible USC team, so they're going to be 6-0. And I mean, they might be the 3rd ranked team in the country, depending on who loses next week.
That's true.
This week.
That's true. Someone's going to get bounced.
Yeah.
And then we got 6 through 12. Again, this is our playoff with one of these teams being moved out for the 4th or 5th conferences. Highest ranked team gets in, but we have that being led by Georgia. They're at 5. And this rounds out with Notre Dame right now at 12. Any thoughts on this at 5-12?
Not really. Iowa State's kind of like a big surprise coming in. They're 5-0. They're undefeated in the Big 12, leading the Big 12 right now. That's kind of a big surprise.
That should be Utah.
It should be Utah. But
Cam's a bitch.
Clemson's back in the top 10 after losing. I believe was it week 1 they lost.
They lost big to Georgia.
To Georgia, right? Yeah. But they're back in the top 10. Ole Miss creeps back in the top 10 after losing last week. They get a win on the road in South Carolina. Alabama drops 6. Yeah, I mean, I guess I agree with everything here. Georgia doesn't move. Miami moves up a little bit just because I think Alabama and Tennessee are dropping. Yeah. But they're still undefeated as well. They're right there, and they got a big ACC matchup coming next week.
Yeah. I think Ole Miss bouncing back after that Kentucky loss, they move up 3 spots. I think that's well-deserved. They kind of dominated a really good South Carolina team, in my opinion. I said that they were the best undefeated team going into that game, and they just completely dominated them on the road. That was impressive. Like you said, Clemson coming back into the top 10. We'll see how they look. They need to play somebody, I think, like to kind of show us like what they really are. And then, in my opinion, even though I'm the fan of this team, I don't think we're the 6th best team in the country. Like, I think if we lined up right now against Alabama and Tennessee, not on a low week, I think we lose. Like, I know we're 6-0, but the last 2 weeks we've looked awful. I know Alabama did just lose to freaking Vanderbilt, and I know Tennessee just lost to Arizona, but just the eye test. Yeah. Like, I just don't like what we've looked like the last 2 weeks. But granted, we are 6-0, so we are in the 6th spot. Like you said, Iowa State, kind of a shocker. And then Notre Dame creeping back into this after losing to Northern Illinois. I could care less about that team after they lose out.
Yeah, that's funny.
But now we got 13 through 25, Jason.
I like Texas A&M moving up 10 spots. I think that's I think they were last week they were underranked.
Yeah.
I think that's a top. I mean, they're in the SEC. They're 5-1.
3-0 in the
3-0 in the SEC.
Conference.
I like that team a lot. I think they might be like a kind of a sleeper team moving forward.
Yeah, I like their quarterback a lot. Obviously, we broke that down. Even the backup, like they got 2 guys that can, kind of get the job done. I will say from 13 to 25, the teams that I'm really liking right now is BYU, Texas A&M, Boise State, and Indiana. Indiana is undefeated right now. Not many people are talking about it. Texas A&M, like you said, moves up 10. And then BYU, another undefeated team in the Big 12. So, a lot of sleeper teams here that I think could give teams problems. It's kind of like a Tennessee going into Arkansas. If you go into BYU and take them lightly, you might not come out of that game with a W.
Yeah.
And Boise State, like we said, they got Michael Myers. So, and it's October. They might win out. Like,
they are the current leaders to get into the playoff from outside the Power 4. They are the Mountain West team right now.
Yeah, I mean, you got Michael Myers in October. Like,
yeah,
they're
going to Hawaii. He might have 1,000 yards in that game.
He might not play. He might not play after the first quarter.
And then we got where are we going? 16 through 25.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the top 25. I don't think Missouri should be in this doo doo.
Indiana at 6-0. They're 18th. Wait, does this say 3 18s on my screen?
So they're tied
for 18th in the country.
I believe so.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Like it's off of the points, and they're all tied with 459.
Yeah.
So Indiana, Oklahoma, and Kansas State are technically all tied.
Kind of like Indiana's offense. They're kind of surprised. They have a big game against Nebraska. We'll see if they're actually like for real.
That's a really big game, actually, for them.
And then Missouri drops 12.
They should be out.
They should be out.
They should be out. Like they're not good.
And then Pittsburgh and SMU, newcomers to the top 25.
SMU, man,
5-0.
Shout out! Hey, at least one Pittsburgh team looks good. That's good. SMU 5-1, top 20, right at 25. Yeah. I like that.
Didn't they have a bad loss like week 1, and they kind of bounced back now?
They did, yeah. They lost to BYU, actually. It wasn't even bad.
They got blown out, though, but it was BYU.
Yeah, so.
Michigan, I don't think, should be a top 25 team, honestly. I think.
With 2 losses, I agree.
They dropped 14. They were 10th ranked last week because they beat USC, but I think they lose to Illinois next week.
Bro, they can't throw the ball, so they might lose to everybody. Like,
But that is the new top 25. The most movement we've had. I think there's only like 3 teams that didn't move in this top 25. Actually, 2. Georgia stays at 5 and LSU stays at 13. Everybody else moved.
that's crazy.
All right. Let's move on to over-under reactions for this past week. You can start it off.
All right, I'm going to go with your favorite team, maybe your second favorite team behind the Bengals. I'm going to go with the Chiefs, Jason. If you look at their remaining schedule, defensively they're hot right now, and offensively they haven't gotten it. They haven't gotten it yet, but they might. Did the Chiefs go undefeated in 2024?
I mean, this is an overreaction, but I don't know, dude. I think I like this because usually the way the story of the Chiefs works is they have some questions early on in the season. People are like, "Oh, the Chiefs are dead," but now they're 5-0. Now they're going undefeated. So hopefully they just fall off at the end of the season and just get knocked out of the playoffs, like in the AFC Championship or divisional round or whatever. So
reverse psychology.
Yeah, a little reverse. Like, oh, you're playing so good right now. They're like, oh, the offense is going to come along here. But what if it never does? Okay?
Maybe.
What if it never does?
Maybe.
All right. Caleb Williams and the Bears sneak into the playoffs in the NFC North.
Ooh. This is a tough one because it'd be hard to get 3 teams from that division in the playoffs. Yeah. I already know Minnesota's in, and then Green Bay most likely will get in. So the Bears
and the Lions
sneaking
are right there as well.
Oh yeah, the Lions. Jeez, Louise, they're the best division in football.
They are.
This might just be the NFC playoff picture, just this division. I don't know. 4 teams from that division getting in would be insane. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. The only thing they can hope for is like Green Bay and battling with Green Bay. So, which could happen. Green Bay, like we talked about, hasn't looked great. They both have the same record at 3-2. So, I think this is a bit of an overreaction, but this is actually a good one. Honestly, for the Bears, it kind of depends on obviously the Packers, and then it kind of just depends on the wild card race for them as a whole.
And the rest of the NFC. The rest of the NFC doesn't. There's not like anybody that's really strong.
It was supposed to be San Francisco. They can't win a game in the fourth quarter.
The Commanders are 4-1. Are they going to win that division? And then who else comes out of the NFC East? I guess. I don't know.
I think it's a bit of an overreaction, but not a bad question though. Nice. I went back to back with your favorite teams on this one because I just love you so much.
This is an underreaction.
Jason, do the Bengals miss the playoffs? Yeah. They fall to 1-4. Okay.
It's not even an underreaction. It's a yes. It's a yes or no. It's a yes.
Okay.
I did see a stat since 1970. Teams that start 1-4, only 5% of those teams have made the playoffs after starting 1-4.
Not good.
So the stats aren't backing that up.
Not great for the Bengals.
Not great for the Bengals. A little college football question. I kind of like this one. No team in college football goes undefeated this year.
This is actually a banger of a question. And the reason is because 3 of the 4 teams in the top 4 are undefeated, and those are kind of like what look like to be the guys. Unfortunately for that, we have Ohio State and Oregon playing each other, so one's going to lose. Then Penn State, they're going to play Ohio State, as always. So someone's going to lose that. So it really comes down to like Texas, Miami, maybe even a BYU or Iowa State. I'm going to say that this is a overreaction because I still feel like one of those teams can do it. I know the SEC is a question mark right now, just as a whole, like what is happening. But Texas still looks like the best team in the country. And I still think, honestly, Miami might have the best chance to do it in the ACC because we don't play anybody. And like I said, a BYU or an Iowa State, maybe even an Indiana or something crazy. So I think it's an overreaction, but I like this question because I'm interested to see how that plays out for the remainder of college football. But sticking in the NFL, I have the 49ers. Now, everyone's kind of favorite coming out of the NFC this year. One of the best rosters, one of the best coaches, Jason. The 49ers, after adapting the Ravens' philosophy in the fourth quarter, the Super Bowl window is closed for the San Francisco 49ers after losing their last 3 of 4 games.
I'm going to say this is an underreaction.
Ooh.
Just because I don't like the way the 49ers are playing right now, obviously, but just the way that the NFC West looks right now with the Cardinals. They have the same record, 2-3. Seattle's just lost 2 in a row. The Rams are 1-4. Like they are definitely still in this division by far. So I don't think their window is closed, but they have to figure it out when they get Christian McCaffrey back. Does Christian McCaffrey fumble that football? No, of course not. It's Christian McCaffrey. So once they get him back, if they get him back, I don't even know what the timetable is for him. But I don't think the Super Bowl window is closed for them yet.
Okay. Fair.
The Dolphins in a weak AFC East, do they still have a chance to win that division?
The Miami Dolphins. This is a overreaction. This team sucks. This team is garbanzo beans.
Tua comes back week 6.
He might not make it to week 8.
That's accurate.
Like I just don't like the Patriots should have won this game, honestly, and the Dolphins should be 1 whatever. I just don't like their coaching staff right now. I think they're a bit over their head out there in Miami, and if you look at their schedule, they still got to play Buffalo again, and I don't think they beat New England again.
I play the Jets twice again. That's tough.
Yeah, just off of quarterback coach alone, they're going to be in some tough games. So I think this is an overreaction for the Dolphins, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's okay.
Let's move on to the same division. Is Aaron Rodgers the back-to-back MVP at one point discount? Double check. Is he washed, and does he retire at the end of the season?
This is hard. I don't think he's washed. He's actually played okay other than the interceptions. Like he's had his team in the game to win every game so far, I believe. Besides, I think they got blown out week 1 or week 2. But other than that, they've had chances to win this game. They could easily be 4-1 right now. But if the Jets season just ends up and they only win like 6 games, and Rodgers is just like, yeah, I'm just done. Like, I'm just done with this. Like, I could see him retiring, but I don't think he's washed. I think I would take Aaron Rodgers over like half of the quarterbacks in the NFL, I think.
Okay.
I don't think he's washed, but does he retire? Maybe. He could.
We'll see.
And then we'll finish it off with your Steelers. Do the Steelers miss the playoffs after starting 3-0?
Yes, we do. This is the guys since starting this topic and segment. This is the easiest underreaction of all time. Do we miss the play? Of course we miss the playoffs. Well, are we going to have a losing record? No, of course not. We'll be 9-8 at the end of the year, but we'll miss the playoffs because the AFC will bounce back. They'll look a little bit better, but. Honestly, I don't even think we're going to go 9-8. If you look at the back half of our schedule, the last 6 of the last 8 games, we play just absolute gauntlet of quarterbacks. We play Lamar and Burrow twice in that stretch, who just threw for more touchdowns in one game than the Steeler fans will see all season from anybody that steps into the quarterback position. So, yeah, we're missing the playoffs this year. I'm sorry to break it to you. I know we started out 3-0. We did this in 2020. We started out 11-0, and then we got bounced by Baker Mayfield and the Browns. So, Again, a Mike Tomlin rant is coming probably either tomorrow or maybe even it'll be a nice little Friday drop for you guys. But it's coming. Don't you worry, because we're going to talk about some stuff. But yes, we're missing the playoffs. But that's our over-under reactions. Love doing that segment.
That's the episode as well.
That is the episode. What a weekend of football. A lot of crazy. I mean, the SEC, they just took a bye week even when they thought they didn't have one. A lot of teams fall. 5 of the 11 in college football are not out of the top 12, but they lose. We have Michael Myers has 400,000 yards rushing in 3 games. The NFL is crazy.
There's no more defeated teams. Everyone's won a game in the NFL. Congrats to the NFL teams.
Let's give it up to the NFL.
Everybody's got to win.
The Jaguars. They saved a lot of lives out there in Jacksonville. Good Lord, that fan base was on the brink of collapse. But that was a crazy week of football, weekend of football, and we got a great slate coming up this weekend in college football. Let me tell you, we also have a banger Thursday night game, a must-win. San Francisco and Seattle. We're going to talk about that, break that down.
Good game to bet on.
I love losing money, so I'm going to bet on it.
Same.
It's gonna be fun. But we appreciate you guys watching. That was a great episode. And again, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. It is spooky season. We got football. The weather's getting a little crisp out here, and I'm excited. I love it. I'm fully invested. We're in football season, baby. Hey, Puck season started.
Puck is back. Puck is tonight.
Puck starts tonight, baby.
We on the ice, baby. We're on the ice.
We're on the ice. It's football, playoff baseball, hockey starts. What a time to be alive.
What a time.
Miami's undefeated.
They are.
We should have lost to Cal
Ravens
Berkeley
won 3
Bears.
straight, baby. We were 3 straight. We're so back.
Miami's undefeated. The Ravens won 3 straight, and the Steelers are missing the playoffs. It can't get better than this.
Ravens are back. Commanders, Ravens this week.
What a banger.
Kind of a banger.
Oh, God.
All right, guys. We will see you in 2 days on Thursday. We'll break down the weekend of football coming up. Don't
Love
miss
you guys.
We appreciate you. We will
Like,
see
comment,
you
subscribe.
in 2 days.
Notice.
Peace.
Steelers suck.